Another high-profile athlete has come out against the vaccine mandate. Brooklyn Nets superstar Kyrie Irving is sidelined indefinitely, marking him as ineligible to play or practice with the team until he becomes a full participant, aka get the jab or you are suspended without pay. On one side of the aisle, Kyrie is praised for his pro-choice stance on the vaccine, but on the other, they're scolding him. No surprise there. Rob Smith is host of the podcast. Rob Smith is Problematic. He joins me now to break down the hypocrisy. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you as well.
Thank you for being here with us in New York City. So tell me this, man. What are you seeing in terms of the Kyrie situation here? Because it feels like there's a lot of ways they can handle this other than forcing the guy to get the shot. A young, healthy guy, by the way.
Well, here's the thing. This is how I feel about the vaccine, and this is how I've always felt about it. If you want it, get it. If you don't want it, you shouldn't be forced to get it. And there is just such this overwhelming pressure that we're putting on people in order to get this vaccine. And I think that Kyrie Irving, it's very interesting that he is taking this stance against the being mandated to take the vaccine. He's losing out on millions of dollars in the process. And there's a racial aspect of it here too that I think is very interesting because look, in New York City, I believe 28% of Black Americans have chosen to get the vaccine. So that means with these mandates, you're locking 72% of African Americans out of public life, out of going to bars, restaurants, movie theaters, etc. And that's something that nobody talks about. So I think it's interesting that Kyrie Irving is taking this stance against the mandates. I think it's interesting that Nicki Minaj came out and said that she's against these mandates, that she decided not to attend these events because they were mandating the vaccine. I think it's very interesting. And what you will see with the media is that they will send their minions out here to bully, to shame Kyrie Irving, to try to destroy him, to try to pressure him to do this because they want to make it seem as if he's going to be the model for all of these other Black Americans that they're trying to push this vaccine on. But I think good for him for standing up. He's taking an actual stand. He's losing out on millions of dollars.
Here are Cuomo and Lemon over at CNN, slamming him, of course.
You're not going to do something that science tells you to do to keep yourself and others safe in your community?
Yeah.
Out of some perverse sense of freedom just because you don't have to?
You do have the freedom not to, so then don't do it. But then you cannot expect to do what everyone else does. You have the freedom. And that's what they're telling him. You got the freedom. We're not going to cancel you. We're not going to fire you, but you're going to be benched.
Well, he's going to lose a lot of money.
Okay, fine. But those are the consequences.
First of all, I love this notion that science tells him. No, science doesn't tell him anything, actually. Yeah. The science would say that he's at effectively no personal risk whatsoever from COVID-19. But they also like to pretend that coercion is somehow not a contradiction of freedom.
Of course. And look, Don Lemon is such a stooge, such a tool. I mean, look, with Don Lemon, I think that what happens with Don, and it's with Don Lemon, it's with Joy Reid or whatever, those are the two Black people in the mainstream media that they use to attack other Black people that are getting out of line, particularly when it comes to this vaccine stuff, right? You see both Joy Reid and Don Lemon attack Nicki Minaj. Don Lemon is now attacking Kyrie Irving. Do you see the pattern that's going on here? So I can't really take anything that either of these two idiots say seriously because they are just such stooges and such tools for the mainstream propaganda push. I hate it.
And we also see that there are some people that are shamed much more aggressively than others when it comes to their vaccine stance. Wasn't it the female hip hop artist, I'm forgetting which one it was, who was, after she had tweeted out the thing about her friend who got the shot and then had the problem in his man area, she was invited to the White House, I believe, for a conversation.
That was Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, that was Nicki Minaj. And so she said that the White House contacted her to go have a discussion. And then they were starting to say that now she was lying about it. And she had to go on her live and say that she wasn't lying about it. And what happened to her with the entirety of the mainstream media coming together to basically attack and bully her because she didn't feel the right way about the vaccine mandates. We see this with Kyrie Irving. We saw it with Nicki Minaj. We saw it not about the vaccine, but with Kanye West when he came out in support of Donald Trump. Remember that a couple of years ago. I remember doing the rounds on cable news, sort of like defending Kanye from people that were talking about his mental stability on air as if they were his psychiatrist or something like that. So there's a pattern here.
Rob, shifting gears here for a second. Jonathan Kent, the new iteration of Superman, is now a bisexual superhero who will tackle ideas such as the deportation of refugees, stopping a high school shooting, and putting out wildfires caused by climate change. Because, of course, Superman is bisexual now. What do we think of this?
Look, this is what I say about this. I understand. So there is an aspect of the LGBT community that thinks that they're never going to get to a certain place or they're never going to be happy or anything like that until they see themselves reflected in every aspect of society. What I don't like is sort of retconning a character that already exists and making, Superman gay. So he's the new Superman now, so we're going to make the new Superman gay. Instead of making him gay, how about they create a whole new gay superhero? I am available to be the model for this. It would be very interesting if they did that, but instead it's just more far left woke propaganda. And I didn't even know this stuff. Like, I knew that the new Superman was bisexual. I didn't know the stuff about helping refugees and fighting climate change and all this stuff. It's woke propaganda.
I love the climate change fires. You think the new bisexual Superman is going to spend a lot of time focused on recycling and making sure that he doesn't take showers that go too long? The things they tell you in California you have to do to save the environment. I don't know if that's really going to have the impact they want. There was that cartoon a long time ago, Captain Planet. Did you ever see it?
Yes.
That cartoon sucked.
Yeah, I was just going to bring it up. I remember Captain Planet. Look, and the interesting thing about this to me is that they're trying to pander to an audience that isn't even their base. Most gay people are not really into comic books. We don't tend to be comic book nerds. So who is it that they're appealing to? They're appealing to the woke Twitter mob who would never consume this content anyway, and turning off the people that are their normal consumers. I don't get it.
What do you think, by the way, of the way that Gruden, the NFL coach, has been booted and now even erased from like the circle of greatness that the Buccaneers have? I forget what it's called. There's some kind of a Hall of Fame equivalent just for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You live right down there in Florida.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? I always think it's interesting how much they point out that he said mean things. Some of the things he said over the line, not acceptable, no question. But he also said mean things about Joe Biden. And we're supposed to care about that.
So look, here's where I stand on this. The things that he said were reprehensible. I thought they were gross. I mean, I've been the target of that kind of racism before, so it's not something that I take lightly. But here's the thing, and this is the question that we have to start asking ourselves as a society. Are we going to be able to rehabilitate people? Are we going to allow people to make mistakes, own up to them, and move forward? Can they apologize? I just think, and I've said this about this situation, I say this every time somebody gets canceled. The reporter at Axios now, she was going to be the head of Team Vogue, Alexa McCammon. And she was canceled. This is a black woman. And she was fired and canceled or whatever because she said something mean about Asians on Twitter 10 years ago. And I said the same thing about this situation that I said about her situation. Let people apologize. Give them space to grow. Let everybody move on from it. Because if we're just canceling people and erasing them from society over stuff like this, we're not providing a path to people getting better, realizing their mistakes, owning up to them, and moving forward. But we're also making these people that we cast out even more angrier and even more aggrieved. And that's where you get like these multimillionaires that are acting like they're victims of cancel culture and stuff like that. I think cancel culture is bad, but I think that we also need to forgive and give people a path to sort of being rehabilitated.
Very well said. Rob, appreciate you coming by, shedding some light on all these topics, man. Good to see you here in NYC.
Always, Buck.